Welcome to the Love Letters to Our Bodies podcast. I'm your host, Gwendolyn Mitchell, founder and CEO of Moyo Institute and lifelong spiritual seeker and energy worker. Here for thoughtful conversations about health, healing, and happiness by, for, and about Black and African American women. Disclaimer, the Love Letters to Our Bodies podcast does not provide medical advice. The opinions, experiences, and insights shared are for informational purposes only. Nothing shared in this podcast is intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other healthcare provider. Don't disregard or delay seeking it because of what you've heard on this podcast. Thank you. Are you ready? Let's dive in. Welcome to the Love Letters to Our Bodies podcast, a mind, body, spirit program for and about Black women journeying with cancer. In this episode, our guest, Dr. Astrid Williams from the California Black Health Network, will be sharing important information about carcinogens and Black beauty products and a movement underway to inform the community and to eradicate these harmful products. Welcome, Dr. Williams.
Thank you so much, Ms. Mitchell, for inviting me here today on behalf of California Black Health Network to share with your audience on this podcast and a very important discussion that we'll have today. And so thank you so much. I would love just to share a little bit more about the California Black Health Network, about our vision and our mission, if I could. And so with that, our vision for California Black Health Network, or also known as CBHN, is to really see a vision in a day where California and all African Americans and Black immigrants has the opportunity to live long, healthy lives free of violence and racism, and also to close the gap on health inequity. So enfold with the mission that all Black Californians, regardless of where they live, where they worship, where they play, sexual orientation status, immigration status, has equal and fair access to healthcare and quality health. And so in closing the gap in health inequities. So thank you so much.
Beautiful. Yes, a pleasure. It's a pleasure. We had an opportunity to meet earlier this year when you made a presentation to our Love Letters to Our Bodies workshop, which, by the way, is a project that is focused on Black women who are journeying with cancer. And all of the women were really impressed by the information that you shared. And some didn't even realize that it's possible that the products that they've been using over the years are at least contributing factors to the fact that they're journeying with cancer. So I thought it'd be really great to have you here on the podcast, and so that we could share the information that you're sharing and also the work that you're doing to inform people around the country, actually, about these really important initiatives. But let me just say a little bit more about your background, too, before we start. And I'm really, really grateful that the California Black Health Network has hired you to be in this position and taking advantage of your personal passion for the health issues that women are confronted with, and that you're particularly working for women of color. And that's been something that's been a long-held passion that you've had. So a great marriage between the two. And let me just say that you are currently serving as the Director of Programs and Initiatives for the California Black Health Network and overseeing this conscious Black beauty movement. And, I have to say, when you made the presentation and I saw the name, I Am Conscious, it really blew me away because it went so deep into the heart of the matter, like what really is called for in order for us to change things in the community.
Well, I appreciate that. And that's the goal. So I'm glad it resonated with you.
Yes, yes. So can you tell us a little bit about what the Beauty Justice Project is? What is Beauty Justice?
Yes, it's an unfamiliar term to many, but we're hoping to make it more familiarized to those because we're often affected by it. And so beauty justice is an official term that we use. Essentially, it is a principle that all people have the right to be liberated from societal beauty expectations, to have access to clean, safe, and affordable beauty products, and also to thrive in the industry if you're a beauty professional, because they also have undue, exposures and risk as well. And so it's a movement, as we shared. It's the global beauty justice movement, where we're starting here locally in California, but looking to be nation and hopefully far-reaching, worldwide, in terms of liberating Black communities and helping to protect them from harmful beauty products and to promote self-love, to be conscious about the products that they use and also place on their body. And so one of the unique aspects of our conscious Black beauty movement is not just looking at cosmetics, which cosmetic is, I guess, a catch-all term for, the beauty industry. It rolls up personal care, beauty products, and hair care products. But one of the unique attributes about the conscious Black beauty movement is also looking at the facet of fashion and apparel, because they go hand in hand when we look at that. And so that's something that's unique. And so to sum it up, beauty justice is a field of research that examines the inequities of chemical exposures from beauty, personal care, fashion as well, looking at social and structural factors associated with racism, classism, sexism, and the shape of beauty norms that can influence beauty products use, exposures to harmful chemicals, and health inequities. And so I know that was a lot, but hopefully in layman's term is to look at the products that we use and how it's, disproportionately affecting communities of colors, and how we can change the trajectory of our health.
I think when you think about the fact that the products are in the category of beauty and they're doing so much harm that it's unconscionable when you think about that we're actually reaching for these beauty standards and beauty products to meet societal expectation that doesn't match how we look or how our hair is naturally, and that those very products are killing us.
Yes. And so, yeah, how our hair grows out of our scalp is beautiful. We all need to know that we are naturally beautiful in who we are and how we show up. But we do have those societal norms that, can be harmful to our how we show up in terms of our self-esteem, and also, in terms of the products that we use. And also it can affect us in a variety of different ways. Personally, society, professionally, as we know, we can get into this conversation, more in depth. There are laws and policies that are supposed to be safeguards. We'll say that, like, for instance, the Crown Act celebrates, natural hair and diversity, which is free from, what is it, regulation in the workplace and in schools and extracurricular activities. But that's, just a start. It's still in real life. We still have to go about life where we're often looked at, discriminated against, ostracized for showing up in our most natural state. And so that's why we reach to or lean towards some of these harmful, beauty standards, which puts us at, greater health risk.
Absolutely. In fact, it reminds me of in my working days, I used to have locks and I was an executive manager, and I was the first African American woman to dare to wear locks in that job. And many sisters came up and thanked me because it just opened the door for them to express themselves the way they wanted to.
I love that. Yes, I love that.
And it is a risk, though, because many times the workplace, they want to dictate how you look in order to receive the job. And I know when I moved to California, my feeling was I had locks at the time. And if you want what's in here, you have to take what's on top of here, you know?
I love that. Yes. And so what the Crown Act is to hopefully, help that, open up the doors, for opportunities and also advancement, to surpass the glass ceiling, in terms of professional attainment, because of our hair sometimes can be a hindrance. And we've done focus groups before where women have said that, yes, if they have a, an interview or, or a meeting, an important meeting coming up, that they'll make sure that their hair is styled in what's deemed as a professional style for fear of being seen as being unprofessional, like with braids, locks, right? Other types of, natural or cultural hairstyles. So that's unfortunate. And so we want to see a day where, that we can show up in our, natural true selves in our capabilities and not be judged, about our outwardly appearance, but more our intellectual, intelligence and let that be the test of who we are.
Exactly, exactly. So talk a little bit about how our relationship with beauty and hair influence the way we feel about ourselves.
Yeah, so we touched on a little bit of this in terms of, hair, but our hair, if we wanted to, talk a little bit more in regards to that and have a discourse, is that it's uniquely connected to our identity. The hair that grows out of our scalp, it's who we are. If we look back culturally, there are different, phases of the movement. I love that you're, wearing your hair in the natural, and the afro. And so that inspires like the Angela Davis, and the Black Power movement. But over the course of time, we've had so many different, hairstyles and trends and things of that nature. And so it influences, who we are, how we express ourselves, how we show up. This is how we embrace and how we feel about ourselves. And so it goes back to, if you look good, you feel good. And that can influence you in a variety of different ways. As I mentioned, personally, society, wise, how you're viewed, and also how you show up, whether that be in the workplace, how confident you feel and being conscious and being bold and being vibrant. And so our relationship to beauty is very diverse. It's impactful. It's who we are. And so we should do more about it in being, who we are, being our authentic self. And if I may add, looking at to the younger generations as they look outwardly to us as being role models and being able to show them that it's okay to be, yourself and being natural and being bold, who you are. You don't have to look at the societal standards. Make your own, set your own standard, for what beauty is.
Exactly. And one of the things that we talk about in the workshop is how our body has its own wisdom. And I recall, for instance, during the days when I was getting perms, how it didn't take long for my body to say, we do not want that, because just the burning itself and, all of those sorts of things were just the body's signal, to say, no, this is not right for me. So we have to learn to really pay attention to the wisdom of our own bodies.
Yeah, and look for those cues. Definitely. I appreciate that. Yes. I mean, here we are years, decades later, and where we were promoted or either really targeted, I should say, and marketed to use a lot of these, straighteners and hair relaxers to fit in with societal standards. And we know that this can be harmful in terms of as we raise up cancers like breast cancer, uterine, and ovarian. So these reproductive cancers that can be associated to some of the styling methods that we have used.
Mhm. So we've talked about this a bit, but want to ask if you want to add any more to how our relationship with beauty is impacted by others.
Yes, so this holds true in terms of looking at societal standards. If I may raise up Eurocentric standards, where fair or light-skinned complexions or tones, hues, or either straightened hair are celebrated. And so this can be very harmful, as we know within our, cultural and our race or ethnicity, we, come in all different hues. And so there's not just one. If that's one of the unique things about us is that we are so, naturally beautiful, whether you're light complected or whether you're dark. And so it's really harmful when societal standards, media propagate this agenda about being, very fair skinned or either having straightened hair as being the mold or the standard for beauty. And so if you don't fit in that, and this goes back to as a young woman or a young girl, it can lead to a lot of self-doubt, depression, personal angst, anxiety associated where they don't feel that they fit in with society and thus seek out means to be able to change their appearance. And this can look like a variety of different ways, as we mentioned, straightening our hair, but even skin lighteners is something that is not really talked about enough, and it can be taboo. And people think that, oh, well, that's, very, much in the past, but we've done, workshops. And so, with our organization under Conscious Black Beauty Movement and talking to Black immigrant populations about skin lighteners and skin creams, which can be very harmful with the toxins that are, contained in there, such as mercury, hydroquinone, that can be very disruptive to organs, leading to system failures and all of those things. And so, yes, it's very unfair. It's very sad, disheartening as a Black woman to know that sometimes you may be ostracized or either passed up or, a variety of different things by the color of your skin. And so it can be very harmful, unfortunately.
The Love Letters to Our Bodies podcast is sponsored by Moyo Institute Incorporated, a nonprofit organization offering heart-centered educational experiences, and the Lloyd Symington Foundation, which supports visionary grassroots cancer programs. In fact, I was really shocked. I was in a local drugstore recently and I was looking at skin products and I was stunned at the number of skin lighteners that are on the shelves. I really did think that was something that was passé.
Yes, yes, yes. Just like, yeah, cigarettes now are something that's passé. You don't really see, too many people smoking cigarettes. But yeah, skin lighteners are still on the market, unfortunately. As I will share, is that the cosmetic industry is not a highly regulated industry. And so there's not a lot of policies that, regulate the use of these products and what's put on the shelf. As consumers, we really don't know the magnitude, the gravity of the toxins that are contained in these products. As a consumer, we think that if we go into these big box stores, that what's on the shelf, it's safe to use, right? Because it's been regulated, by the FDA, Food and Drug Administration. But there's not a lot of policy around that, and hence the fact that you can walk into these stores and see skin lighteners still on the shelf. And there unfortunately still is a market of people that are buying it because they're buying into the mainstream society about, again, having fair or lightened skinned and wanting to use this, and so use these types of products. And so that's where education and awareness comes in.
And I'm really, I've been impressed by the fact that I've seen on Instagram some of the more historical accuracies about how Black women's beauty was the most celebrated amongst all women for hundreds of years.
Yes, yes. As they say, we set the trends out there. And so, yes, we set the trends, but also we fall prey to them as well in terms of some of these unfair standards and that. So yeah, just do our due diligence and really try to impress upon our generation that we are more than enough. We are uniquely and divinely, made. And so our appearance and our beauty is unique to us. And so embracing who we are.
Beautiful, beautiful. And there's also an impact on folks trying to meet these Eurocentric beauty standards or beauty ideals culturally, financially, societally, and physically. Do you want to talk about that more?
Yes. And so I think you touched on a few of those, the financially, socially, and physically. I can start with the first. Financially is a 7.5 billion with the B dollar industry that largely our Black community, Black women, our family members that are buying into. And so we have a lot of buying power. And once we say that we can, vote and, have power in by our dollars. And so in banding together and uplifting this issue about toxins and, our cosmetics and beauty and hair care products is very important and it's essential to our overall health. So first, I want to start with that is a very, costly industry. And so again, if we look at the products that we're using, it would be great to have products that are clean and safe that we can use, and that are free of harm and these toxins and chemicals. And so within that, we are also dying at the cost of beauty, which relates to the physical, elements. And so there are huge, amount of health disparities within our community as it relates to chronic diseases, but some of those can be attributed to, the products that we use as leading into the conversation about some of the reproductive health disparities, such as breast cancers. As we know, Black women, the incident rate is not as high as some of our racial or ethnic counterparts, which unfortunately we're, closing in on the gap of that. But by and far, we are dying more in terms of these health disparities as it relates to breast cancer. We have a more aggressive form of that. Unfortunately, we don't know why. Research is still being done on that. And so the magnitude of us dying because of some of these health disparities that can be attributed to the products that we use is very harmful and to us, and also very, saddening. And then socially, societal standards, which I think we touched about, and looking at, what's celebrated as being the standard and what's being beautiful. So what's the standard? I mean, that's very subjective to think of what is beauty and what is attractive. I think everyone has their own unique definition of what beauty is. And so those are some pervasive, Eurocentric beauty ideals that are being integrated into society, our Black culture, or what is harming us.
I know that the California Black Health Network is also involved in legislative initiatives to make change on that level as well. Is there something you'd like to share with us about that?
Yes, and so we're part of the many of coalitions, and also working in partnership in tandem with other organizations, such as the Breast Cancer Prevention Partners. They do a lot of policy and advocacy around the industry for cosmetics and beauty. And so there are a suite of bills, the beauty bill package, one in particular is Bill 3620, which looks at greater protections for Black and Brown or women of color, and also those that are in the beauty professional, because if we, as I mentioned, know that they have a chronic exposure to the toxins and chemical by the way of the work that they do. And if we look at hairdressers, they can be exposed to, these toxic chemicals such as hair dyes and relaxers, so that can put them at greater risk for health disparities. But again, as I mentioned, Black women are buying a lot of these toxins, or excuse me, buying a lot of these products that are written with toxins in there. And so supporting these bills that are out there can, only lead to more positive results, and hopefully getting them off of the market and getting clean and safer products out there for use.
So you've been doing this, been managing this project and going out and reaching members in the community about it for how long now?
Yeah, so I've been working in this field probably for several years, for about 4 years now. And so looking at, how we can, mitigate these health disparities out there, how we can advocate for change. As I mentioned before, some of the bills that are out there, like HR 3620, which relates to the cosmetic safeties for community of colors. Also through our organization supporting HR 3619, which is the Toxic Free Beauty Act. And so these are some of the ways that in working in the field with my, background and expertise that I've been, helping to champion, hopefully, and lead the way to brighter health outcomes and closing the gap on some of these health disparities.
Beautiful, beautiful. So how do you feel the campaign is going? How is the work being received?
Yeah.
I Am Conscious campaign.
Yes, thank you. The I Am Conscious campaign, we went through a rebranding phase with this, and it really has been resonating with our audience and those who have aligned with our mission and goal of the campaign, or the movement, as we should say. It's the I Am Conscious Black Beauty movement. And as I mentioned before, it's, multifaceted. And so looking at the cosmetics, the beauty products, hair care, personal care products, and also fashion, because we know fashion is intertwined to who we are. If we think as Black women, as we show up, not only are we looking at our beauty, but our fashion. If we know to any important or notable event, not only are you going to say, okay, well, how am I going to, well, there's a couple of things first. What am I going to wear? Right? How am I going to style my hair? And am I going to wear makeup? Because we want to show up in our best and, truest form in there. And so adding that the fashion also to the conscious, because there are some implications as well. As we know in the fashion industry, largely who are in the manufacturing industries, they're, the Black and brown, and also women, we'll just say women of color. And unfortunately, children are usually, used for a large part of these labors, whether it be third world countries or either domestic here. And also looking at, the manufacturing industry and where they're placed in the neighborhoods, Black and brown communities. We look at Cancer Alley, which is located in, New Orleans. A lot of these factories are, with the toxins and exhaust, the transportation industry. So it's multifaceted in the sense of that. So the I am conscious is being conscious about not only what we put in our bodies, but what we put on our bodies. And so looking at that as well. And so again, I would say we're off to a really great start, and I'm really excited about that.
That's beautiful. For years, I've been one of these people who understood that the synthetics in things like our bras and are not good for us. And so, what I can say, it's really difficult to find good bras that don't have underwire, which some would argue contributes to the improper cell division and creates opportunities for cancer. And also the plastics, the synthetics that are in these bras are not,
Microplastics, yes, it's in everything. And
yes,
yes, but also the dyes, if we think about that in terms of our undergarments, and so that we wear, and we're putting them at our most intimate parts. And so our skin is our largest organ of our body, and it's very porous. And so if we think about throughout the day as we perspire, that's, leading in an open route for these toxins and chemicals and dyes to get into our body. And so, yes, definitely. And the more research needs to be done about this industry in terms of reproductive health and how it relates to some of the health disparities that we're facing. But yes, garments are also fashion, and garment apparel are another entryway, something that we're not as conscious in thinking about, because we like to wear, clothes, and I hope, right? And also, beauty and hair, but it's a multifaceted problem.
yes, yes. So tell me, what can our listeners do to help themselves personally? What can they do to help the movement? What can we do?
Yes, I'm glad that you asked. And so, a great way is to align with the I Am Conscious Black Beauty movement through the California Black Health Network. And so, we have resources that are available on our website. And also, we do talks in the community, such as we did the workshop with your organization, Love Letters to Our Body. We work with sororities to, spread the movement throughout the community. But also, I would say just being savvy as a consumer, because that's an individual effort that you can engage in each day, looking at the labels. And so reading the ingredients that are in the products that you use. And so looking to see, what's contained in there. A great way is, if you can't pronounce it, or if it's something that seems very auspicious to you, that might be something that you want to steer clear of, or, either use to, start to phase out, as we do what's in our cabinet or what's in our makeup bag, is to look at those ingredients that are contained within those products and do a clean sweep. What does it mean? Not to throw the baby out with the bathwater, because I know some people are not ready to do that, but to make mindful choices and decisions. So as you finish up products, or as you search for new ones, there are great resources that are out there, such as EWG, Environmental Working Group, has an app, Think Dirty. Also, there's Claria that has apps that you can find, in the App Store on your phone that you can download. And so as you're out and about, again, looking for different products, it'll give you a printout of some of those harmful ingredients in there, and what are some safeguards in there in terms of clean ingredients to look for. In terms of apparel, is to stay in more natural fibers versus the synthetics, as you mentioned on there. Sports apparel, or I hate to say, but it's a huge culprit of that, because it's made to mold and to, flex with your body as your movement. And so they do, use a lot of lycra and, polyester and things of that nature. But there are some brands that are out there. Unfortunately, we hear a lot is that, they can come at a more of a higher price point. for that. But again, you can't put a label or a price tag on your health. But also maybe buying one thing and getting, a high ROI return on your investment because you're going to use it more, like bras is a high, return on your investment. That's something that we use our undergarments that we wear daily. So it might be something where you can make a small change as that in terms of, buying things that, again, that are in contact to our most intimate parts of our body versus something that like a shirt or, a pair of pants and things like that.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. So tell our listeners how they can be in touch with you, and we'll also include the information in the show notes.
Yes, so you can visit our website, which is CA and then blackhealthnetwork.org. And so you can find us there. And then also online on all social platforms is at your CBHN. So that's YOUR and then CHBN for California Black Health Network.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for being with us. This session has been really informative, and I'm really excited to be helping to share this information, and we look forward to working with you in the future as well. We'll likely have you back at some point to talk more in depth about the work of the California Black Health Network.
Well, I appreciate that. I look forward to the opportunity. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. So now to our listeners, you'll be able to find information in the show notes, and also feel free to go to moyoinstitute.org for more information about the Love Letters Project. And we look forward to being with you again in the not too distant future. This is Love Letters to Our Bodies podcast. Thank you. That's a wrap. Thank you so much for listening to Love Letters to Our Bodies, conversations on health, healing, and happiness. To find out more about the Love Letters to Our Bodies project, visit our website at moyoinstitute.org. That's MOYO Institute.org. Follow us on social media and subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss an episode. If there are topics you'd like for us to discuss, let us know. Remember, your body is beautiful, girlfriend. Love it.